The rain lashes against the panoramic windows of my office, a relentless drumming that usually soothes the edges of my perpetual vigilance. Tonight, it only amplifies the unsettling quiet within these insulated walls. I'm reviewing the day's reports on the sleek, minimalist desk, the glow of the screen reflecting in the polished surface, when a faint, choked sob cuts through the silence, a sound entirely out of place in this fortress. My hand stills, hovering over the trackpad. Security protocols are absolute here. No unauthorized sound, no unexpected presence should ever penetrate this deep. The heavy oak door, usually a silent sentinel, creaks open just a fraction, and a figure appears in the periphery of my vision, a silhouette against the muted hallway lights. It's a woman, her shoulders shaking, her face obscured by tangled hair and the desperate clench of her hands. Her presence here, unannounced, is an anomaly, a breach that screams of a crisis far beyond the usual machinations of my world. Every instinct screams danger, but the raw, unadulterated grief emanating from her is a different kind of threat, one I haven't accounted for. I watch her, my gaze sharp, assessing the impossible situation unfolding before me. The faint sob morphs into a ragged gasp as she stumbles further into the room, her elegant, yet now disheveled silk blouse clinging to her trembling frame. The expensive fabric, usually a symbol of composure, now only highlights her profound distress, a stark contrast to the meticulously ordered, cold modernity of my office. My security team, usually a silent, almost invisible presence, materializes in the doorway, their expressions unreadable, their postures rigid. They are a wall of tailored suits and watchful eyes, their very stillness a testament to the unexpected nature of this intrusion. I raise a hand, a subtle gesture that halts their advance, a silent command that tells them to hold their positions, to observe, but not to intervene. Not yet. The air crackles with an unspoken tension, a delicate balance between protocol and the raw, human element that has just shattered the evening's carefully constructed peace. Her eyes, when she finally lifts them, are wide and bloodshot, pools of unshed tears reflecting the low, ambient lighting of the room. There's a desperation in their depths that bypasses all my usual defenses, a primal fear that speaks of a world turned upside down. She clutches a small, worn photograph to her chest, her knuckles white, as if it's the last tangible link to a reality that is rapidly slipping away. I recognize the type of fear, the kind that strips away pretense and leaves only raw survival instinct. It's a fear I've seen before, in different contexts, but never quite like this, never so openly displayed within the confines of my sanctuary. The silence stretches, heavy and suffocating, punctuated only by the distant drumming of the rain and her shallow, uneven breaths. "They took her," she whispers, her voice a fragile thread, barely audible above the storm outside. The words hang in the air, a chilling pronouncement that immediately shifts the focus from her unauthorized entry to the gravity of her plight. The photograph, now visible, shows a young girl, no older than 10, with bright, innocent eyes and a wide, gap-toothed smile. A child, the image is a punch to the gut, a stark reminder of the vulnerabilities that exist beyond the fortified walls and the intricate networks I command. My mind, usually a fortress of logic and strategic calculation, momentarily falters, grappling with the sudden, jarring introduction of such profound innocence into my world of shadows and hard decisions. My right-hand man, Marco, a man whose loyalty is as unyielding as steel, steps forward slightly, his gaze flicking between the woman and me, a silent question in his eyes. He knows the rules, the absolute necessity of maintaining distance from anything that could compromise our operations, anything that could introduce unpredictable variables. Yet, even he seems momentarily disarmed by the raw despair emanating from her. He is a man of action, of swift, decisive movements, but this situation, steeped in emotional chaos, is outside his usual purview. His hand rests subtly on the small of his back, a familiar gesture that speaks of readiness, of a constant state of alert, even in the face of such profound vulnerability. I gesture for her to sit, indicating one of the plush leather armchairs that flank the fireplace, a silent invitation for her to compose herself, to articulate the impossible situation she has brought to my doorstep. She hesitates, her eyes darting around the expansive room, taking in the minimalist art, the floor-to-ceiling bookshelves filled with volumes I rarely touch, the subtle hum of unseen technology. This is not her world, and her discomfort is palpable, a stark contrast to the desperate courage that brought her here. She finally sinks into the chair, her movements stiff, as if every muscle in her body is screaming in protest. The photograph remains clutched tightly in her hands, a talisman against the encroaching darkness. "Who took her?" I ask, my voice low, even, betraying none of the internal calculations already whirring in my mind. My tone is designed to elicit information, to cut through the emotional haze and get to the facts, the cold, hard data that I can process. I need names, places, timelines. I need to understand the scope of this breach, the implications for my own carefully constructed ecosystem of power and influence. The question hangs in the air, a demand for clarity in a situation that is anything but. Her head snaps up, and for a moment, a flicker of defiance, of raw anger, replaces the fear in her eyes. It's a small spark, but it tells me she's not entirely broken. Not yet. She takes a shaky breath, struggling to regain some semblance of control. They didn't say. Just a message, a warning. Her voice is still hoarse, but stronger now, fueled by a desperate need to be heard, to convey the urgency of her plight. She explains how a seemingly normal afternoon, a trip to the park with her daughter, had dissolved into a nightmare. A moment of distraction, a phone call, and then the chilling realization that her child was gone. No struggle, no witnesses, just an empty swing set and a profound, terrifying silence. The story is fragmented, punctuated by gasps and choked sobs, but the core message is clear. An innocent life has been snatched, and she believes I am the only one who can help. The details she provides are sparse, frustratingly vague, yet they paint a picture of meticulous planning, of an operation designed to leave no trace, to instill maximum terror. This isn't a random act. It has the hallmarks of a targeted message, a calculated move by an unseen adversary. My mind immediately begins to sift through potential enemies, rivals, disgruntled former associates. The list is long, the possibilities endless, and the thought of an innocent child caught in the crossfire ignites a cold fury within me. This is a line that, in my world, is rarely crossed, a transgression that demands a response, a reckoning. The stakes, I realize, are far higher than a simple rescue. She reveals her connection to me, a distant, almost forgotten link through a mutual acquaintance, a man who owed me a favor, a man she had desperately sought out in her hour of need. He had pointed her to me, a last resort, a desperate gamble. The irony isn't lost on me. The very networks I've built to maintain control and order are now being used to bring chaos to my doorstep. The weight of that responsibility settles heavily on my shoulders, a familiar burden, but one now tinged with the vulnerability of an innocent life. The decision to involve myself, to extend my protection, is not just about her. It's about the integrity of my own domain, the unspoken rules that govern my world. Marco clears his throat, a subtle signal that he has completed his initial silent assessment. His eyes meet mine, and I read the unspoken message. This is a problem, a big one. He's already running scenarios, calculating risks, assessing the potential fallout. He knows that once we engage, there's no turning back, no easy exit. Our involvement will be a declaration, a challenge to whoever dared to orchestrate this abduction. The implications are vast, stretching far beyond the confines of this room, potentially igniting a powder keg of rivalries and old grudges. The woman, oblivious to the silent communication, continues to plead, her voice raw with emotion, her story a desperate tapestry of fear and hope. I lean back in my chair, my gaze fixed on her, observing every tremor, every flicker of emotion. She is a pawn, yes, but a pawn with a powerful, unintended impact. Her vulnerability is her strength, her desperation a weapon. I consider the optics, the message it would send if I were to turn her away. It would be a sign of weakness, a crack in the impenetrable facade I have so carefully constructed. And in my world, weakness is a luxury I cannot afford. The decision, though fraught with peril, begins to solidify in my mind. This isn't just about charity. It's about maintaining a certain order, a certain reputation, even if it means venturing into uncharted, dangerous territory. Tell me everything, I command, my voice firm, leaving no room for doubt or hesitation. Every detail, no matter how small, no matter how insignificant it may seem. I need a full picture, a complete understanding of the forces at play. My mind is already racing, piecing together fragments, constructing a mental map of possibilities. The security team, still standing by the door, remains motionless, their presence a constant reminder of the gravity of the situation. The rain continues its relentless assault outside, a fitting soundtrack to the storm that has just erupted within the quiet confines of my isolated mansion. The night, I realize, is going to be a long one, filled with shadows and difficult choices. She begins to speak again, her voice gaining a fragile strength as she recounts the events leading up to the abduction. She describes the subtle changes in her routine, the feeling of being watched, the unsettling sense of unease that had slowly crept into her life. It wasn't overt, nothing she could point to specifically, but a pervasive feeling of being under scrutiny, of unseen eyes following her every move. This detail immediately catches my attention. It suggests a level of sophistication, a patience that speaks of a formidable adversary. This isn't a spur-of-the-moment act, it's a meticulously planned operation designed to exert maximum pressure to send a very specific, very chilling message. The photograph, still clutched in her hand, is a constant, silent reminder of the innocent life hanging in the balance. The girl's smile, frozen in time, is a stark contrast to the grim reality unfolding in my office. It's a powerful emotional trigger, a lever that is being expertly manipulated by unseen hands. I understand the game now, or at least the opening moves. This isn't just about a child, it's about leverage, about sending a message to me, through her. The question is, what message, and from whom? The possibilities are unsettling, each one carrying its own set of dangers and implications for my carefully balanced world. The silence in the room, once merely tense, now feels pregnant with unspoken threats. I signal Marco, a subtle nod that conveys a multitude of instructions. He understands immediately, his eyes narrowing slightly as he processes the implications. He will initiate the discreet inquiries, the silent probes into the shadows, seeking out any ripple, any disturbance that could point to the perpetrators. His network is vast, his reach extensive, and his methods are as efficient as they are ruthless. This is what he does best: navigate the murky waters of information gathering, separating truth from deception, identifying the unseen players. The woman, still speaking, her voice a desperate plea, is unaware of the intricate machinery that has just been set in motion, a silent declaration of war against an unknown enemy. The rain outside intensifies, a furious drumming against the glass, mirroring the tempest brewing within these walls. The woman's story, though still incomplete, has already irrevocably altered the landscape of my night, perhaps even my future. The quiet routine, the controlled environment, has been shattered by a single, desperate act. I feel the familiar surge of adrenaline, the sharpening of my senses, the cold, calculated focus that descends when a new challenge presents itself. This isn't just a problem. It's a direct affront, a challenge to my authority, to the very order I strive to maintain. And in my world, such challenges cannot and will not go unanswered. The game, I realize, has just begun. The woman, whose name I now know is Elena, finishes her harrowing account, her voice finally giving out, leaving her slumped in the armchair, utterly spent. The silence that follows is heavy, thick with the weight of her fear and the unspoken threats that now permeate the very air of my office. Marco, ever the pragmatist, steps forward, a tablet in his hand, his face grim. He has already begun his preliminary checks, his network of informants and surveillance assets quietly activated. The initial findings are unsettling, confirming Elena's fragmented story with chilling precision. There are whispers, faint echoes in the underworld, of a new aggressive player making moves, disrupting established territories, and challenging the old guard. "They're calling themselves the Syndicate," Marco states, his voice low, almost a growl. New faces, no clear leader, but their methods are disruptive. The term disruptive from Marco is a significant understatement. It means brutal, unpredictable, and utterly without respect for the unwritten rules that have long governed the delicate balance of power. This new entity, operating in the shadows, seems to thrive on chaos, on tearing down the established order. The abduction of Elena's daughter, an innocent civilian, is a clear violation of those unspoken rules, a deliberate provocation designed to draw a response, to test the boundaries of my influence. The cold fury within me hardens, solidifying into a resolve. Elena, hearing the name, flinches, her eyes widening in renewed terror. She had heard the rumors, the whispers of this new, ruthless group, but had dismissed them as distant threats, far removed from her ordinary life. Now, that distant threat has become a terrifying, intimate reality. Her daughter, a symbol of pure innocence, is a pawn in a game she doesn't understand, a game played by forces far beyond her comprehension. The moral dilemma is stark. Do I risk my people, my resources, my carefully constructed stability, for an outsider, for a child who is, by all accounts, a casualty of a war I didn't start? The answer, though dangerous, is becoming increasingly clear. My gaze sweeps across the room, landing on the silent, watchful figures of my security detail. They are my shield, my sword, and their lives are my responsibility. Involving them in this, in a direct confrontation with an unknown, ruthless entity, is a calculated risk, one that could have devastating consequences. Yet, the image of the little girl's smiling face, still vivid in my mind from the photograph, gnaws at me. There are lines, even in my world, that should not be crossed. The targeting of innocence, the use of children as leverage, is one such line. It's a principle, a code, that I have always upheld, a silent agreement that maintains a semblance of order in the chaos. We move, I finally say, my voice cutting through the tense silence, a definitive statement that sets the wheels in motion. Marco nods, his expression grim but resolute. He understands the implications, the dangers, but he also understands the unspoken code, the necessity of responding to such a blatant transgression. He immediately begins issuing commands, his voice a low murmur into his comms device, dispatching teams, activating surveillance, initiating a full-scale search. The mansion, once a quiet sanctuary, now hums with a new kind of energy, a focused intensity that speaks of impending action, of a storm about to break. Elena looks up, a flicker of hope, fragile yet potent, igniting in her eyes. She sees the transformation, the shift from contemplation to decisive action, and a desperate gratitude washes over her face. She knows, instinctively, that she has placed her trust in a dangerous man, but also in a man who, for reasons she may never fully comprehend, has chosen to act. Her vulnerability, once a burden, now becomes a catalyst, a driving force behind the intricate machinery of my organization. She is no longer just a victim. She is the reason, the focal point around which this new, dangerous mission will revolve. The initial intelligence Marco gathers is disturbing. The syndicate operates with a chilling efficiency, leaving minimal traces, moving like ghosts through the city's underbelly. Their targets are not random. They seem to be systematically dismantling the operations of smaller, less established groups, absorbing their assets, eliminating their leadership. This abduction, then, is not just a message to me. It's a declaration of intent, a bold move designed to assert their dominance, to show that no one, not even I, is beyond their reach. The stakes escalate dramatically. This is no longer just about a child, but about a direct challenge to my authority, to the very fabric of my control. I find myself drawn into the details, poring over the fragmented reports, the grainy surveillance footage, the intercepted communications. My office, usually a place of quiet contemplation, transforms into a command center, the screens on my desk displaying a dizzying array of data, maps, and profiles. The cold, modern aesthetic of the room now feels like a sterile operating theater, where lives are weighed and decisions are made with surgical precision. The contrast between the clinical efficiency and the raw, emotional urgency of Elena's plight is stark. a constant reminder of the human cost of this dangerous game. Elena, though exhausted, insists on staying, her presence a constant, silent reminder of the urgency. She hovers in the background, a shadow of anxiety, offering what little information she has, clinging to every word, every update. Her fear is a palpable presence, a heavy cloak that drapes over the entire operation. I find myself, against my usual detached nature, offering her a measure of reassurance, a quiet word that acknowledges her pain, her desperation. It's a rare concession, a crack in my carefully constructed facade, but one that feels necessary in the face of such profound human suffering. Marco returns with a new piece of information, a lead, tenuous but promising. A known associate of the syndicate, a low-level enforcer, was spotted near the park around the time of the abduction. It's a thread, a single strand in a tangled web, but it's enough to pull on. The risk is immediate. Sending a team to intercept him could alert the syndicate, could put Elena's daughter in even greater danger, but doing nothing is not an option. The clock is ticking, and every moment wasted is a moment that brings us closer to an irreversible outcome. The decision is mine, and the weight of it presses down, heavy and unyielding. Bring him in, I order, my voice firm, decisive, quietly. No unnecessary attention. I want to know everything he knows. Marco nods, already anticipating the command. He dispatches a specialized team, operatives known for their discretion and efficiency, their ability to move through the shadows without leaving a trace. The mansion's security tightens further, the perimeter patrols increasing, the electronic surveillance systems humming with heightened awareness. We are preparing for a confrontation, a silent war being waged in the heart of the city, with an innocent life hanging in the balance. The hours stretch into a tense eternity. Elena paces restlessly, her anxiety a palpable force in the room. I watch her, a silent observer, noting the subtle shifts in her demeanor, the way her hope flickers with every new piece of information, only to be dimmed by the harsh realities of our world. Her presence is a constant reminder of the human element, the raw, unfiltered emotion that often gets lost in the strategic calculations. It's a vulnerability I rarely allow myself to acknowledge, a softness that could be exploited. Yet, in this moment, it serves as a powerful motivator, a stark contrast to the cold, calculating nature of my adversaries. The first reports from Marco's team begin to trickle in. The enforcer has been located, his movements tracked, his routine observed. He is a small fish, a cog in a larger machine, but he holds a piece of the puzzle, a fragment of information that could lead us closer to Elena's daughter. The tension in the room is almost unbearable, a palpable hum of anticipation. Every comms update, every whispered conversation is scrutinized, analyzed for any hint of progress, any sign of hope. The night outside remains dark, the rain a relentless companion, mirroring the storm of uncertainty that rages within these walls. The moral implications of my actions weigh heavily. I am using my resources, my influence, my people, to intervene in a situation that, by all rights, should be outside my purview. But the line has been crossed, the rules violated, and a response is demanded. This isn't just about rescuing a child, it's about sending a message, a clear, unequivocal declaration that certain boundaries are sacred, even in the darkest corners of the underworld. The decision to engage, though fraught with peril, feels right, a necessary assertion of a code that, however brutal, still holds a semblance of honor. As the night deepens, the mansion becomes a hive of controlled activity. Operatives move silently through the corridors, their faces grim, their purpose clear. The hum of technology, the low murmur of voices, the constant flow of information, all converge into a single focused effort. Elena watches, a silent witness to the machinery of my world, a world she never knew existed, a world now dedicated to the impossible task of bringing her daughter home. The air is thick with anticipation, with the unspoken knowledge that the next few hours will determine not only the fate of an innocent child, but also the delicate balance of power in the city's hidden depths. Marco's voice cuts through the silence, sharp and urgent. We have him. He's talking. The words are a jolt, a sudden surge of adrenaline that electrifies the room. The first piece of the puzzle has been found, a crack in the syndicate's impenetrable facade. But with every step closer, the danger escalates, the risks multiply. I know that this is just the beginning, the opening salvo in a confrontation that will test the limits of my power, my resolve, and the loyalty of those who stand with me. The game has truly begun, and the stakes are higher than I could have ever imagined. The enforcer, a nervous, sweating man named Petrov, is brought into a secure interrogation room within the mansion's lower levels, a space designed for extracting information without leaving a trace. He's a low-level operative, easily intimidated, and the sheer presence of my security detail, their silent, imposing figures, is enough to break his composure. He spills details, fragmented and fear-driven, but enough to confirm our worst suspicions. The syndicate is indeed behind the abduction, and their target is not Elena, but me. The child is leverage, a cruel, calculated move to force my hand, to draw me into a confrontation on their terms. Petrov reveals the location, an abandoned industrial warehouse on the city's outskirts, a desolate, forgotten place perfectly suited for their nefarious purposes. He describes the heavy security, the multiple layers of surveillance, the ruthlessness of the operatives guarding the facility. His words paint a grim picture, a fortress designed to hold its captives securely, a place where an innocent child is being held hostage in a brutal power play. The cold fury within me intensifies, a burning inferno that threatens to consume my usual calm. This is a direct challenge, a declaration of war, and it demands an immediate, decisive response. Marco, ever the strategist, outlines the risks. A direct assault is too dangerous, too prone to collateral damage, especially with a child's life at stake. The syndicate anticipates a frontal attack, a show of force, and they will be prepared. We need a different approach, a surgical strike, a plan that leverages our strengths in stealth and precision. The tension in the room is palpable, a heavy cloak of anticipation and dread. Elena, listening intently from a discreet distance, her face pale and drawn, clutches her hands together, her hope and fear warring in her eyes. Every word spoken is a knife twisting in her gut. I make the decision. A small, elite team, led by Marco, will infiltrate the warehouse. Their objective is clear: retrieve the child, neutralize any immediate threats, and gather intelligence on the syndicate's leadership. I will oversee the operation from my command center, coordinating resources, providing real-time intelligence. The plan is risky, fraught with peril, but it offers the best chance of success, the best hope of bringing Elena's daughter home safely. The weight of this decision, the lives I am putting at risk, settles heavily on my shoulders, a familiar burden that never truly lightens. As Marco and his team prepare, the mansion transforms into a staging ground. Equipment is checked, comms are tested, weapons are readied. The silent efficiency of my operatives is a testament to their training, their discipline, their unwavering loyalty. They are a well-oiled machine, each part moving in perfect synchronicity, driven by a shared purpose. Elena watches them, her eyes wide with a mixture of awe and terror, a civilian thrust into a world she never knew existed, a world where life and death hang in the balance with every calculated move. Her presence is a constant, silent reminder of the stakes. The infiltration begins under the cover of darkness, the rain still falling, providing a natural cloak for their movements. I watch the live feeds from the drones and the operatives' body cameras, my eyes scanning every detail, my mind processing every piece of information. The warehouse is a labyrinth of shadows and hidden dangers, a perfect trap. The syndicate's security is indeed formidable. Multiple layers of patrols, motion sensors, thermal imaging. It's a testament to their resources, their ruthlessness, and their determination to make a statement. The tension in the command center is almost unbearable, every breath held, every sound amplified. Suddenly, a flicker on one of the screens. A patrol route changes, an unexpected deviation. It's a subtle shift, almost imperceptible, but it's enough to trigger an alarm in my mind. A betrayal. Someone within our own network, someone with access to our plans, has tipped off the syndicate. The realization hits me like a physical blow, a cold wave of anger and disappointment. The carefully constructed plan is compromised, and Marco and his team are walking into a potential ambush. The stakes, already impossibly high, have just skyrocketed, and the lives of my most trusted people are now in immediate, grave danger. "Marco, abort!" I bark into the comms, my voice sharp, urgent. The plan is compromised. They know you're coming, but it's too late. On the screen, a sudden burst of movement, the flash of muzzle fire, the chaotic scramble of my team as they realize they've been sprung. The warehouse, once a silent, imposing structure, erupts into a maelstrom of violence. My heart pounds in my chest, a primal drumbeat of fear and rage. I watch, helpless, as my people fight for their lives, caught in a deadly trap orchestrated by a traitor within my own ranks. The betrayal is a bitter pill, a poison that threatens to unravel everything. Elena gasps, her hand flying to her mouth, as she sees the chaos unfolding on the screens. Her daughter's life, already hanging by a thread, is now caught in the crossfire of a brutal, unexpected battle. Her face is a mask of pure terror, her eyes wide with unshed tears. She understands, instinctively, the gravity of the situation, the sudden, devastating shift in fortunes. The hope that had flickered in her eyes just moments before is now extinguished, replaced by a profound, soul-crushing despair. The weight of her gaze, her silent accusation, is almost as painful as the betrayal itself. I immediately shift tactics, my mind racing, calculating new probabilities, new angles of attack. The element of surprise is gone, but we still have the advantage of superior training, of unwavering loyalty. "Marco, fall back to the secondary objective," I command, my voice steady despite the turmoil raging within me. "Create a diversion. I'm sending in the reserves. We're going in hot." The decision is made, a desperate gamble, a full-scale assault that risks everything. There's no turning back now. The only way out is through, to confront the enemy head-on, to reclaim what is ours. The reserves, a larger, heavily armed contingent of my security forces, are mobilized with lightning speed. SUVs roar to life, their engines a thunderous symphony in the quiet night. The mansion, usually a place of subtle power, now radiates an overt, undeniable force. The air is thick with the smell of exhaust, of anticipation, of impending battle. Elena watches them go, a silent prayer on her lips, her eyes fixed on the retreating convoy, her last shred of hope clinging to the men who are now risking their lives for her child. The stakes have never been higher, the outcome never more uncertain. The battle for the warehouse rages, a brutal, chaotic symphony of gunfire and explosions. I watch the feeds, my jaw clenched, my eyes narrowed, directing the flow of the battle, identifying targets, exploiting weaknesses. The syndicate operatives, though numerous, are no match for the disciplined ferocity of my forces. They fight with a desperate, reckless abandon, but they lack the cohesion, the strategic precision of my trained professionals. Yet every minute that passes is a minute that puts Elena's daughter in greater danger, a minute that increases the risk of an irreversible tragedy. Suddenly, a new feed comes online, a grainy image from within the warehouse itself. It's Elena's daughter, huddled in a corner, her small body trembling, her eyes wide with terror. She's alive. The sight of her, so vulnerable, so innocent, ignites a fresh surge of determination within me. This isn't just about power, about territory, about revenge for a betrayal. It's about a child, a life that deserves to be protected, to be brought home safely. The image is a powerful reminder of the true cost of this brutal game, the innocent lives caught in the crossfire of warring factions. Marco's voice crackles over the comms, strained but resolute. "We have eyes on her, moving to extract." The words are a beacon of hope in the chaos, a promise of salvation. But the fight is far from over. The syndicate, realizing their stronghold is crumbling, intensifies their resistance, fighting with a desperate ferocity. They are cornered animals, lashing out, trying to inflict as much damage as possible before their inevitable defeat. The climax of the battle is upon us, a desperate struggle for control, for survival, for the life of an innocent child. The final push is brutal, A whirlwind of close-quarters combat, of desperate hand-to-hand struggles. My forces, fueled by a righteous anger, overwhelm the remaining syndicate operatives. The sounds of battle slowly subside, replaced by the groans of the wounded, the crackle of burning debris, the heavy breathing of exhausted men. Then, a single, clear voice over the comms. Package secured. Child is safe. The words are a balm, a wave of relief washing over me, a profound sense of accomplishment. The climax has passed, the immediate danger averted, but the fallout, the consequences of this brutal night, are yet to be fully understood. The aftermath of the warehouse assault is a scene of controlled chaos. My teams move with practiced efficiency, securing the perimeter, tending to the wounded, and systematically sweeping the facility for any lingering threats or intelligence. The air is thick with the smell of smoke and spent gunpowder, a grim testament to the night's brutal events. Elena's daughter, shaken but physically unharmed, is quickly whisked away to a secure location, her small hand clutching Marco's finger, her eyes still wide with the terror of her ordeal. The sight of her safe, though traumatized, brings a quiet sense of relief that settles deep within me, a rare moment of peace in my tumultuous world. The traitor, a mid-level operative named Silas, is apprehended, his betrayal exposed, his motives laid bare. He had been seduced by the syndicate's promises of power and wealth, a classic tale of greed and ambition. His face, when confronted, is a mixture of fear and defiance, but ultimately, he is just another casualty of a war he was ill-equipped to fight. His actions, though devastating, ultimately served to strengthen my resolve, to remind me of the constant vigilance required to maintain order, to protect my domain from both external threats and internal rot. The cost of such betrayal is always high, and Silas will pay it in full. Elena, reunited with her daughter, is a whirlwind of emotions: relief, gratitude, lingering fear, and a profound sense of exhaustion wash over her. She clings to her child, her tears now tears of joy, a stark contrast to the desperate sobs that had first brought her to my office. She understands, implicitly, the debt she now owes, the dangerous world she has glimpsed, and the extraordinary lengths to which I went to protect an innocent life. Her gaze, when it meets mine, is filled with an unspoken understanding, a silent acknowledgement of the complex, often brutal, nature of the power I wield. The syndicate, though dealt a significant blow, is not entirely eradicated. Their leadership remains elusive, their network still largely intact. This was a battle won, not the war. The intelligence gathered from the warehouse, from Petrov, and from Silas provides valuable insights into their structure, their methods, their ultimate goals. They are a formidable adversary, ruthless and cunning, and their challenge to my authority will not be easily forgotten. The quiet hum of paranoia, a constant companion in my life, intensifies, a subtle reminder that the threat still lingers, waiting for its next opportunity to strike. My mansion, once a sanctuary, now feels subtly altered, marked by the events of the night. The pristine modernity, the cold elegance, now carries the faint echo of chaos, of violence, of desperate human emotion. The security protocols are reviewed, tightened, reinforced. Every shadow is scrutinized, every unexpected sound analyzed. The sense of absolute control, once a comforting illusion, is now tempered by the harsh reality of vulnerability. The world, I realize, is a far more unpredictable place than even I, with all my power and influence, can fully command. Marco, his face grim but resolute, reports on the casualties. We lost good men, loyal men, in the ambush. The cost of this intervention, though necessary, is heavy. The weight of their sacrifice settles heavily on my conscience, a grim reminder of the human price of power. I will ensure their families are cared for, their memories honored, but the losses also serve to harden my resolve, to fuel my determination to dismantle the syndicate, to ensure that their ruthless tactics, their disregard for innocent lives, are met with an equally ruthless and ultimately decisive response. Elena and her daughter are placed in a secure, undisclosed location, far from the reach of the syndicate, far from the dangers of my world. Their lives, though forever changed by this ordeal, are now safe, protected by the resources I command. I know that their future will be one of quiet vigilance, of living with the knowledge of the shadows they have glimpsed. But they are alive, and that, in the end, is what truly matters. Their safety is a testament to the effectiveness of my organization, a validation of the difficult choices I made, the risks I took. The city outside, oblivious to the silent war that raged within its hidden corners, slowly awakens to a new day. The rain has stopped, replaced by a pale, watery sunlight that filters through the clouds. The contrast between the mundane routine of the city and the extraordinary events of the night is stark, a constant reminder of the two worlds that coexist, one visible, one hidden. I sit in my office, the screens now dark, the reports filed, the immediate crisis averted, but the deeper implications still resonating within me. The experience has left its mark, a subtle shift in my perspective. The line between my world and the world of innocence, once so clearly defined, has blurred. The vulnerability of Elena and her daughter, their raw, unfiltered fear, has pierced through my usual detachment, reminding me of the human cost of the power struggles that define my existence. It's a dangerous realization, a potential weakness, but also a source of unexpected strength, a renewed sense of purpose that transcends mere territorial control. The quiet tension that remains in the mansion is a constant reminder of the ongoing threat. The syndicate is still out there, their presence a dark cloud on the horizon. This victory, though significant, is merely a skirmish in a larger war. I know that they will retaliate, that they will seek revenge for the blow we have dealt them. My vigilance must be absolute, my defenses impenetrable. The game has entered a new, more dangerous phase, and I must be prepared for whatever comes next, for the inevitable escalation. I find myself reflecting on the nature of power, of control, of the choices we make in the face of impossible odds. The decision to intervene, to protect Elena and her daughter, was not just a strategic move. It was a moral imperative, a reaffirmation of a code that, however brutal, still holds a semblance of honor. It was a reminder that even in the darkest corners of the underworld, there are lines that should not be crossed, principles that must be upheld, even at great personal cost. Marco enters, his face etched with exhaustion, but his eyes burning with a quiet determination. He places a new file on my desk, a preliminary report on the syndicate's leadership, a list of names, of potential targets. The war is far from over, but we now have a clearer picture of our enemy, a more defined path forward. The quiet hum of my office, once a symbol of peace, now feels like the calm before another storm, a brief respite before the next inevitable confrontation. The long night has ended, but its echoes will linger, shaping the days and weeks to come. The image of Elena's daughter, safe in her mother's arms, is a powerful motivator, a symbol of the innocent lives caught in the crossfire of power struggles. It is a reminder that even in my world of shadows and hard decisions, there are moments of profound humanity, of choices made not for profit or power, but for the simple, undeniable truth of protecting the vulnerable. My gaze drifts to the panoramic windows, where the first rays of dawn are breaking through the clouds, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple. A new day, a new beginning, but also a continuation of the endless struggle. The world outside is waking up, oblivious to the battles fought in its hidden depths. I stand, my resolve hardened, my purpose clear. The game has changed, the stakes have risen, and I am ready for whatever challenges the new day and the syndicate will bring. The silence in the office is profound, broken only by the distant hum of the mansion's systems. The events of the night have forged a new path, a new direction for my organization. The intervention, the rescue, the confrontation have all served to redefine my role, to solidify my commitment to a certain kind of order, a certain kind of justice, however brutal it may seem to outsiders. The cost was high, but the outcome, the safety of an innocent child, was worth every risk, every sacrifice. I pick up the new file, my fingers tracing the names of the syndicate's leaders. The hunt has begun. This is not just about revenge for a betrayal, or about reclaiming lost territory. This is about sending a message, a clear, unequivocal declaration that certain lines are sacred, that certain transgressions will not be tolerated. The war is far from over, but I am ready. The quiet of the morning is deceptive. Beneath the surface, the machinery of my world is already preparing for the next, inevitable confrontation. The quiet that settles over the mansion in the days following the assault is deceptive, a thin veneer over a simmering cauldron of unresolved tension and strategic planning. Every shadow seems deeper, every silence more profound, as if the very walls now hum with the echoes of the violence they witnessed. I move through my routines with a heightened awareness, my senses sharpened, my mind constantly sifting through the implications of the night's events. The victory, though decisive, feels less like an end and more like a grim prelude, a clear signal that the true war has only just begun, and the enemy is far from vanquished. The cost of our intervention weighs heavily on me, a somber tally of lives lost and trust shattered. The faces of the men we buried, loyal and brave, flash through my mind, a stark reminder of the human price of my decisions. Their sacrifice fuels a cold, unyielding resolve within me, a promise that their deaths will not be in vain. This isn't just about protecting my territory anymore. It's about honoring those who fell, about ensuring that the ruthless tactics of the syndicate are met with an equally unyielding force, a reckoning that will restore a semblance of order to the chaos they seek to sow. Elena and her daughter are now safely ensconced in a new life, far from the reach of the city's shadows, their identities carefully erased, their past meticulously buried. I receive periodic coded updates confirming their well-being, a small comfort in the relentless storm of my existence. Yet, the image of Elena's tear-streaked face, her desperate plea, and the innocent terror in her daughter's eyes remains etched in my memory. They are a constant reminder of the fragile line between the mundane and the monstrous, a line that I, in my world, am constantly forced to navigate and, at times, to redraw. The syndicate, though wounded, has proven to be more resilient than anticipated. Their network, like a hydra, seems to regenerate, new faces emerging from the shadows to fill the void left by those we eliminated. The intelligence we gathered paints a picture of a decentralized, almost ideological organization, driven by a desire to dismantle the old guard, to rewrite the rules of the underworld. This makes them a particularly dangerous adversary, one that cannot be simply bought off or intimidated. They represent a new kind of threat, one that demands a new kind of strategy, a deeper understanding of their motivations. I find myself changed by the experience, a subtle but profound shift in my perspective. The detached calculation that usually governs my actions is now tinged with a raw, almost visceral understanding of the human element, the innocent lives caught in the crossfire. This vulnerability, once seen as a weakness, now feels like a strange kind of strength, a deeper well of motivation. It's a dangerous evolution, one that could cloud my judgment, but also one that imbues my purpose with a renewed, almost righteous fervor. The lines I once drew so clearly are now blurred, forcing me to confront the moral complexities of my existence. Marco, my steadfast right hand, bears the weight of the operation with a grim stoicism that mirrors my own. His loyalty is absolute, his efficiency unmatched, but I see the toll it takes on him, the sleepless nights, the constant vigilance. We share a silent understanding, a bond forged in the crucible of shared danger and difficult choices. He is my confidant, my strategist, the man who translates my vision into actionable plans, and his unwavering presence is a constant anchor in the turbulent waters of my world. Without him, the machinery of my organization would falter, would lose its precise, deadly rhythm. The mansion, once a symbol of impenetrable power, now feels like a fortress under siege, albeit a silent one. The security systems are upgraded, the patrols intensified, the surveillance expanded. Every visitor is scrutinized, every delivery meticulously checked. The sense of absolute control, once a comforting illusion, has been replaced by a pragmatic acknowledgement of constant threat. The very air seems to crackle with an unspoken tension, a perpetual state of readiness for the inevitable next move from an enemy that lurks just beyond the periphery of our vision. The city outside continues its oblivious rhythm, its millions of lives unfolding in a world entirely separate from the hidden war that rages beneath its surface. I watch the lights of the metropolis from my panoramic windows, a glittering tapestry of ignorance and innocence. It's a stark contrast to the shadows I inhabit, a constant reminder of the two realities that coexist, one visible and vibrant, the other clandestine and brutal. My role, I realize, is to protect that fragile, oblivious world, even if it means operating in the very darkness it seeks to ignore. The intelligence reports pile up on my desk, a dizzying array of names, locations, and intercepted communications. We are building a comprehensive profile of the syndicate, mapping their network, identifying their key players, understanding their operational patterns. This is the painstaking work of war, the meticulous gathering of data that will inform our next moves. Every piece of information is a potential weapon, a key to unlocking their vulnerabilities, to dismantling their insidious influence piece by agonizing piece. The hunt is on, and I am the hunter. The moral complexities of my actions continue to gnaw at me, a persistent whisper in the quiet moments. Am I a protector or merely another warlord in a brutal game? The lines are blurred, the justifications often murky. Yet the image of Elena's daughter, safe and alive, serves as a powerful counterpoint to the doubts. There are times when brute force is the only language understood, when decisive action, however violent, is the only path to preserving a greater good, to preventing a deeper, more pervasive chaos from engulfing everything. The personal toll of this life is undeniable. Sleep is a luxury, often interrupted by fragmented dreams of gunfire and desperate pleas. The constant vigilance, the perpetual state of readiness, wears on the soul. Yet, there is also a strange kind of clarity that comes with it, a heightened sense of purpose that transcends the mundane. This is my burden, my chosen path, and I walk it with a grim determination, knowing that the alternative is a world consumed by the very darkness I fight against. For Elena and her daughter, life will never be truly normal again. They carry the scars of their ordeal, the indelible mark of having glimpsed the abyss. But they are free, they are safe, and they have a chance to rebuild, to find a new kind of peace. Their survival is a testament to the fact that even in the darkest corners of the world, hope can still flicker, and that the fight for innocence is a battle worth waging, no matter the cost, no matter the personal sacrifice. The nature of power, I've learned, is not just about control, but about responsibility. It's about making impossible choices, about sacrificing personal peace for the greater, often brutal, good. It's a lonely path, one fraught with peril and moral ambiguity, but it is also a path that demands unwavering resolve. The isolation that comes with such power is a constant companion, a silent reminder that the decisions I make affect countless lives, both seen and unseen. The lingering threat of the syndicate is a shadow that stretches across my domain, a constant reminder that this war is far from over. I anticipate their retaliation, their desperate attempts to reclaim their lost prestige, to avenge their fallen. This is the dance of power, the endless cycle of challenge and response. My defenses are prepared, my forces are ready, and my resolve is unyielding. Let them come. We will meet them with a force they have yet to comprehend. My determination has hardened, forged in the fires of betrayal and battle. The quiet, contemplative leader has been replaced by a more ruthless, more focused strategist. There is no room for hesitation, no space for doubt. The game has entered its most dangerous phase, and I am prepared to play it to its brutal conclusion. The lines have been drawn, the sides chosen, and the stakes are nothing less than the future of my world. The quiet of my office is now a strategic pause, a moment of intense planning before the next storm breaks. Maps are spread across the table, marked with potential targets, strategic points of interest. The hum of computers fills the air, processing data, simulating scenarios. This is the calm before the inevitable, the meticulous preparation for a confrontation that will define the next chapter of my reign, and perhaps the fate of the city itself. This intervention, this desperate rescue, has become something more profound than a mere territorial dispute. It has become a reaffirmation of a code, a declaration that certain lines, however arbitrary they may seem to outsiders, are sacred. It is a testament to the fact that even in the brutal world I inhabit, there are still principles worth fighting for, still innocence worth protecting, even if it means risking everything. I look out at the city, now fully awake, bathed in the harsh light of day. The world continues, oblivious, but beneath its surface, the gears of war are turning, driven by a silent, unyielding force. The game has changed, the rules rewritten, and I stand ready, a sentinel in the shadows, prepared to face whatever challenges the new dawn and the syndicate will inevitably bring. The hunt continues.